Marcus, I guess, but he's okay.
Goodness,
he's okay.
come on.
Yeah. But that's a hard shoe to fill. You know what I mean? So
he was able to find us a Shenron mirror amongst his top 16.
Absolutely.
I will have to say though, guys, eventually, Storm is probably going to be on stream a lot because at least based on ratios as of right now, I think there's 7 Storm players in top 16.
Absolutely, there's so many, and that's okay. The diversity in the leaders are still very good, especially for a national championship, and especially for a format that's only been out for like 2 weeks.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So right now, what's happening, and it's really important to keep talking about this, a lot of players are just defaulting back to what they were comfortable in playing, and Storm is one of those decks that stayed very powerful, and it's just a deck that is very comfortable for a lot of players.
Sure. So this matchup, I'm not, I don't know, we don't have the deck list here with us, so I don't know if this is an actual mirror. But it looks like we are seeing a Shenron Gogeta here in Willie Newsome's Shenron deck.
Absolutely.
We got to see a 1-star Dragon Ball inside with Bryan Samule, so that's interesting, mixing it up with the Dragon Ball cards there. What do we want to see out of this match? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think Bryan's running Gogeta as well? What comes to mind?
So one of the big things I'm noticing is in Bryan Samuel's discard pile, we see quick think and go tanks, which is a suggestion that he may be focusing more on Child's Wish.
Fair enough. That's a great observation.
And actually in testing, we've seen those. I call them Shenron weenie decks, and that's where they keep bringing back the little 15Ks that get value.
Yeah.
You know, so like you said, quick think and go tanks let you, when it attacks, it draws you a card. So it's very good at not only finding Dragon Balls if you don't have them, but also just getting insane value.
Right. I've actually been referring to the deck as Tool Trunks. Because I find it often revolves around Spirited Search Trunks.
Yep.
And then you have a variety of different 2 or 3 drops to play, like a stereotypical toolbox deck.
Right.
But using Spirited Trunks to pick and choose what you get off Child's Wish every turn.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as you said, spam a lot of weenies.
Yeah, actually playing multiple 1-star balls.
Oh, nice. That's actually something we haven't seen too many
now,
players do.
Let's go over this effect here, because we only have 2 of the individual Dragon Balls as of right now, and then we have the generic one. This one in particular says if your leader card is a Shenron card, draw 1 card, then choose 1 card from your hand, place it in the drop area, and your opponent choose 1 card, hand, place it in the drop area. So now, that goes back to what Zap just said. This probably is a tool Shenron, as he referred to it as, because he's using the 1-star ball as a way to ditch the cards he wants to Child's Wish later.
Absolutely.
And I think that's actually really cool.
It's an archetype we call, in Magic or other games, we call them hate bears. That's just a bunch of cheap creatures that have very situational effects that, when used in the right time, are very powerful.
And we got some deck lists here too, in case we want to reference that as well.
Okay. Yeah.
One of the most
you're the deck list guy.
Okay,
right?
I'll be the deck list guy. That's fair.
So one of the more interesting things I'm looking forward to seeing with Bryan's deck is if he's running 2 or 3 copies of the 1-star ball. What I have found is against the Shenron, when you're using the Shenron deck, Cell Chain is very powerful against you.
Right.
Because your leader doesn't have a good ability to generate more cards after you pick your 7 Dragon Balls.
Right.
What 1-star ball does is, let's say he's playing 3 copies. He's able to force 3 discards off of the Android player in the first 2 turns of the game. Honestly, that means unless his hand is perfect, he's not able to play Cell Chain on curve.
Honestly, and we see a third 1-star Dragon Ball, so I actually really like this.
He actually runs 3 copies.
He runs 3 copies, so he found all 3. I actually really like this, and I wish I did this in my Tool Shenron, because I was running that Spirit Search and using a lot of 15Ks to be annoying, but I didn't think of running the multiple Dragon Balls, the 1-star in particular in this case. Yeah, it's very disruptive to your opponent if they're not looking to play from the drop themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's powerful against Shinimba Mill as well, because they are victim to hand destruction. Also, if you are playing against a Rush deck and it's not helpful, you can search 2 1-star balls, play the first 1-star ball, and discard the second.
Fair.
So in Bryan's case, if he was playing against a fast deck, in this situation, he still have his blue energy on tap, so he could activate Sensu Bean as a defensive measure.
Yeah, what's really cool, actually, about Bryan's deck here is he's running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 1-ups main board.
Very interesting.
Right, so he's running Ultimate Fusion Gogeta, Shenron the Wish Granter, Beerus.
That's the 5-drop Shenron.
Yeah, yeah, Beerus, Divine Vanquisher, at all costs Vegeta.
He's running the Super 17 promo as well.
Wow. Black Mass Saiyan, Beyond Darkness to Megra, and Kami. So it's
actually, this seems like a lot of also discard in a sense, because I see a duo Deborah, if I'm not mistaken. So it looks like he's really trying to disrupt his opponent's hand.
Right. One of the cool combos Bryan could do is if he's able to get an Infernal 17 to stick on the board, he could then on turn 5 resurrect or play Shenron the Wish Granter, give him triple attack, and then use the leader ability or the triple strike and the triple attack.
Yeah.
And those attacks can't be negated. That sounds incredibly powerful.
9 damage that you can't negate. That sounds a whole lot like, I don't know, Triple Flash before the errata.
Yeah.
Just not turn 2.
Poor Triple Flash, man. He had his time Time in the sun.
If any of you guys know me, I've been preaching about Triple Flash since the day he came out. And when they had announced Shenron, and I could show you the chat. The first thing I spammed the Triple Flash in the chat, and everyone was like, "No, but 5-drop Beerus." I was like, "No, Triple Flash, no Triple Flash." And then when they were like, "So guys, we're gonna be errating Triple Flash, and here's the deck, and here's why," and everybody in my chat was like, "Yo, you were 100% right." Yeah, it was insane, man. So that actually is really good in the Super 17, having that same sort of threat.
Yeah, Divine Dragon chat, it absolutely was errated. It was changed. It only works with red Saiyan leaders.
Yes, it's a Triple Flash was errated. It was active as of, I think, this weekend. It went live, like the start of Nationals.
I think it was when it started Nationals, or was when the set went live.
Either way.
Doesn't matter. Not that important exactly when.
It's not on the errata list because it didn't officially go live. They probably haven't updated it, to be fair.
Right.
Bryan Samule resolving Dragon Radar, one of the more versatile cards from this new set. Being able to either pull Dragon Balls or Desires from the top of the deck in the early game, or being able to use it as a 1 energy, draw 2 cards, or bring back his multiple copies of Child's Wish so he can play multiple copies in the same turn. Very versatile.
We see an objection, charging another objection. One of my favorite things to do when I see too many objections early on, just get them out of the way if I'm not planning on playing multiple. This is actually really interesting seeing a Shenron mirror because Shenron's early game is a whole lot of not attacking, right? You know, it's just focusing on Wish. And I think what we tend to see in mirrors, right, in a lot of cases is most of the time you get to determine who. A lot of times you see things like, oh, if you whoever wishes first loses. You know, do you think we're gonna find some kind of, I guess you can say, myth like that in this mirror match?
Yeah, so you're talking about like in cell mirrors, for example.
Yes, whoever cell chains first or second.
Yeah, is at disadvantage. I think what's going to happen here is the Wish is obviously both players win conditions primarily.
Right.
At least that's how you build the deck around it, right? And so I think what's going to happen is who wishes at the right time is going to win. You don't want to wish when your opponent has energy up to be able to defend it, and you really have to understand what your opponent's outs are.
Sure.
And what's really cool about this match and all the top 32 matches in general is that you get to see each other's lists. And so if it was me, the first thing I would do, you get 30 seconds to look at your opponent's list. The first thing I would do is just try to find everything they have to shut off my combo.
Gotcha.
And then I'd play around those as best I can.
Yeah, in my experience with the Wish decks, if you're familiar with the Pokemon TCG, this matchup feels a lot like a Pokemon matchup, in which it's the strength of my deck. I'm trying to create a certain board state, create a certain setup.
That's a great point.
And then the power of my deck is based on, 1, the speed and effectiveness of that setup, and how well my opponent can disrupt it, or how well I can disrupt my opponent from doing the same thing.
Right.
Willie having the 7-cost Gogeta hero revealed is going to be very powerful in interacting and disrupting Bryan's play.
Can we just talk about quick thinking Gotenks? I'm a huge fan of this card. I've been telling people this card is the personification, for lack of a better word, and the definition of value in a card game. Denying your opponent a card while drawing one yourself. I mean, it really doesn't get better as far as 3-drop 15Ks are concerned. And I don't think we're going to see a better 3-drop for a while, at least. That's just natively that good.
Right, absolutely. It's in blue, too, which is,
of course,
an ambitious color to put it in. But what I think I love about, too, is that it's just one of those cards that your opponent has to invest into getting rid of it. So I always talk about this. Any card that gives you too much value in this game almost has, like, pseudo blocker.
Right.
Because what happens is you attack with it, you get your card, and it puts your opponent in a situation where they want to kill the card because they don't want you to keep drawing cards off of it.
Right.
So not only does it draw you a card, it usually saves you a life or two.
Right. Marcus, I remember when we were watching Willie yesterday.
Yeah.
That Shenron Majesty put in so much work.
Yeah.
What he was doing is once he resolved Hero Revealed and dropped the opponent down to 3 cards in hand, he would use Shenron's third ability.
Yes.
To give Hero Revealed critical. And that 35k critical triple strike just made it impossible to regenerate advantage.
It was such it creates such a huge gap for his opponent to try and recover from. But seeing how I think both players are playing Gogeta, luckily I'm actually really happy that both players are not playing the exact same decks, so we can kind of see different play styles and decisions here.
Yeah.
But
this Gotenks doing a lot of work in this Shinron mirror because the leader can't attack into it and the Shinrons in play can attack into it. So it actually was able to survive, continue to gain Bryan some advantage. One question I have for you, Zap, what do you think about, after a cell chain or even after Gogeta, being able to give this card triple attack off Shenron and just drawing 3 cards off of
I've done it.
That could be very powerful.
Yeah. Is that a way to maybe recover?
I've actually done it in a situation where, yeah, I didn't have a lot of card advantage. I knew triple attack would put a lot of pressure on my opponent, but I also wanted to draw cards, and most of the time, you expect me to. I was also playing Auto Cost Vegeta, and this is a situation where I would have both Quick Thinking Gotenks and Auto Cost on board. My opponent is expecting me to give Auto Cost to triple attack because that's the obviously bigger play. But I realized that not only, once again, like I said, am I denying you 3 cards, I'm drawing 3. And then you have to try to get over the 1 triple strike from Auto Cost. So yeah, situationally, in order to try to create a bigger gap and deny my opponent potentially that negate that they would find, yeah, I've given triple attack to Gotenks just to draw 3 and crit for 3.
Right.
And I also had a situation where when I was playing the 5-drop in my deck, I gave him triple strike and triple attack, and then still play Auto Cost or something like that. You know what I mean? So
actually, in Bryan's list, I didn't notice it the first time I looked through it, but he's running the Super 17 Tournament Pack promo. It's actually in his energy right now.
Right.
So does he just wish this out?
Correct.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
World
actually
Peace.
a point I was going to make. So if Bryan knew he was going to play Willie Newsome in top 16 of the national championship,
Sure.
I would encourage him to side 2 copies of Chain Attack Trunks and 2 copies of Chain Attack Zeno.
Right.
And what he could do is he could recover after the 7-drop hits board if he draws into World Peace or if he draws into the Dragon Radar. He could be able to World Peace to Chain Attack Trunks for free, resolve the Zeno, the Pain God in his hand, and that could help reset the field after such a disadvantage.
Yeah.
We're actually seeing a lot of interesting cards in both of these decks. Sneak Attack Vegeta being
Actually,
played on the Willie Newsome side. Just a lot of really just interesting picks. They have a lot of different effects that they can work with. Sneak Attack can be annoying in its own right. Quick Thinking, the Android. It's just extremely powerful, random cards.
I'll tell you, the more I think about it, this Super 17, the Infernal Machine,
It's scary.
I mean, taking 2 cards out of your opponent's hand is scary, but giving it plus 10,000 triple attack, it can be negated.
Yeah.
So you can just attack 3 times with this guy.
And luckily he doesn't have barrier. That's why I pulled him up. I wanted to
Right.
check if he had barrier. So it is a risk because you would have to World Peace this, which means you can't give him triple attack on the same turn he's played.
That's not true, though. He could hard cast the World Peace.
Right.
Use all his energy to play
That's
it,
fair.
and then use the leader trigger.
That's fair. I don't know why I just completely. Sometimes I just throw out the fact that you can hard cast your desires. So Zap definitely put me in check there. So yeah, he could just hard cast a World Peace, play Super 17, give him triple
seems
attack.
pretty scary to me.
So yeah,
I mean that's definitely pretty devastating. Not being able to be negated is a powerful keyword in this format in particular, especially when a lot of I'm guessing Shinron's outs in a lot of these situations are just like Mafubas and.
Not to mention, especially if you manage to get out Figure of Majesty, it stays on board, and then you pull 17 and then give him critical. So that's a +5, plus a +10, plus triple attack, and you can't negate.
No big deal.
You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. I think it's actually really fun with the Shenron decks, just being able to give random cards keywords that they just never would have had to begin with. I know.
Right.
I remember talking Union Force time. I was like, imagine giving this card critical. Oh my God, it'd be so good. So you can do that now, and it's really fun. And as I said a second ago, there's a Figure of Majesty coming out for Bryan.
Well, he finally gets his 4 costs out. This was on our list of cards to watch this weekend. This card has been just fantastic. Gives you a lot of value. Does a lot.
Interesting. I'm wondering what he's going to choose to do here. Whether he's going to use
That was
Figure of
actually pretty
Majesty.
sick. So he tapped 4 to play out the Figure of Majesty.
Yep.
Then he can play this for free, untap 1 from that, and he can actually untap 2, making this Shinron cost 1 energy.
Yeah. Extreme value for a lot of big cards. He's actually going. He did activate the Auto Cost effect here to give him triple strike. I don't imagine we can't see a triple attack here, but I don't know if he's going to go for it or if he was just trying to get additional cards to hand.
I'm curious to see if he gives the at all cost critical using Shenron.
He is, so that makes a lot more sense. So not going for the restand, but giving at all cost crit, basically telling Willie, you better have a negate or this is really going to hurt.
Yeah. This is coming in for a whole bunch of damage, and then you're at 8 life, so you're going to lose 3 cards.
It's automatically plus 15 because he has 5, so that's a 35k swing because he's naturally a 20. I'll pull that up just to be sure.
Yeah, should just be a 25k.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's totally at all costs. Thank you.
Yeah, it's Zeno.
There he is. Yeah, naturally 20,
25.
so 35 because he gets an additional 15 from his energy because he gets plus 3 for
it's
every
just
one of
30,
his
it's 30,
energy.
it's
Yeah.
30.
Plus 5 from the Shenron.
I forgot about the +5 from
He
Shenron.
also got to, since he's at 5 energy and he gets that additional boost, he also got to blow up the Figure of Majesty on Willie's side, because I always forget about this, but at all costs, when he's at 5 and you activate that effect, he gets to blow up a card.
Yeah, fun fact, you actually need to be at 5 to get the triple attack as well.
Right.
A lot of players forget that as well. A lot of people think it's just the KO.
Yeah.
And I've actually had a lot of players walk up to me. I would say a lot of players, but a couple players like, hey, I lost at all costs Vegeta because I thought I had triple attack and it actually didn't.
Gotcha.
Like once I went back and looked at the game, it's like, it wasn't supposed to be triple attack.
Yeah, guys, we actually went to look for the Yamcha going into top 16, but unfortunately he did lose.
Yeah, unfortunately.
As the Tim on the Pan deck in top 32.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Willie in a very scary situation here. Bryan knew that if Willie resolved Hero Revealed, the game was probably going to be over. But now Willie's in a situation where he can't get rid of that at all cost. Now he's facing 45, 50k triple attack, critical.
And honestly, this is nothing that a simple world piece into Ultimate Fusion Gogeta couldn't fix. You could remove both the Vegeta and the Shenron, and you're sending them to the deck, which stops Bryan from using a world piece to get them back.
Yeah, Gogeta is a fantastic card against these Wish Leaders or against any drop area based decks, which is almost every Wish Leader, overall decks as well.
Right. Stive Turkey, I actually didn't see an announcer at the event at all. Maybe they were here, but definitely none in the top cut.
I saw one player that was doing adequately, but didn't make it to the top tables all day.
Gotcha. What leaders are in top 16? We have
Shenrons, we have Harudagarns, we have Trunks, we have Stormfist Krillin, we have Super 17.
Androids.
And set 2 Android.
Interesting choice.
There may be some Janimbas left as well.
Going for the Wish Granter simply for the tap 4 and the draw 2.
Yeah, it must be just trying to draw into something here is what it really seems to do. Probably an answer to this board.
I'm gonna have to reset here. If you guys don't know, the difference between this Shenron and the 4-drop is this Shenron is an on-play ability. It is not an activate main. It basically allows you to have access to 3 stronger abilities in Figure of Majesty, but like I said, you have to choose them then and there. And he is susceptible to Bloodlust, I think. I don't think he has Deflect or anything like that. So if you were playing against a Frieza's Army leader. Shouts out to the promo video, by the way. That was a red Frieza's Army leader, if I'm not mistaken, just so you guys know. So he has access to Bloodlust.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Bryan Samule teching Beyond Darkness to Migra in his deck.
Yeah,
I'm really
isn't that so
curious
cool?
to see if that hits board next turn.
I've noticed, and it was something that I had mentioned when the leader first came out, I thought that Demigod was a great option as, like, I can't, like, for example, if Willie started going super control and denying Bryan the targets he needs to go for the triple attack, then your next option is Demigra. Because you're like, I can't establish a board that allows me to get a significant triple attack, so I'm just going to go for the Demigra, interrupt your hand, and just try to give you this big body that you have to get over.
Is it possible to do both? Can you give your Vegeta critical and then triple strike, and then use the Mega to rip their hand out?
You could.
And then just attack critical to kill them. It's essentially like kind of what Androids is trying to do, but
you can't give it the triple attack because if you play the Migra, you're going to warp out the Dragon Balls that you're supposed to remove from play for the triple attack.
You'd give it first, though, right?
Right. What you're suggesting is giving it to a different target, not to the Demigra.
Right. You give it to the Vegeta.
Right, but then you still need 7 black cards specifically.
He runs 18 copies of black cards.
Which is his wish cards.
He has a healthy number
That's
to
fair.
resolve Demigra if the situation occurs.
Wait, what's happening?
The players are going to take a chance here.
Oh, okay.
So we have a little judge call here. The judges are going to take a look at the card here, make sure that everything is taken. We don't want any missteps here in the top 16.
Absolutely,
yeah.
yeah.
As you can see, we have 2 judges on the table. Yeah. So what we were talking about is it possible for him to go for almost like an Android type play where you just use the Mega to rip cards out of their hands so they can't stop the triple strike critical.
Correct.
I just feel like it's unlikely, I guess is what I'm going for.
Okay.
Because when you play the you play the I see what you're saying now. Now that I'm playing it through in my head.
Right.
You activate first just to remove the 7 Dragon Balls.
Yep.
But you still have all your desires in there.
Right. You have your desires. You have your commies.
That's
you have
disgusting.
I wonder if that's something.
If you play enough desires, yeah. And you said he plays how many in his deck?
He has 16 black cards, not counting his Dragon Balls.
I mean, yeah. If you remove 7, that's still 9 black cards. You're still able to Demigra after the fact.
Yep. Oh, the headphones, good question. We have players have headphones on because we're actually broadcasting this not only on Twitch, which it is on Twitch, we're also putting it on the giant projection screens for the audience to watch.
And we're also not that far from
Yeah, we're also not that far away. So that's, two things. So we don't want the, people outside to see them draw an awesome card and be like, oh my gosh, he just drew a super combo, and then the player's here.
And we did double check. You cannot hear anything in those
No,
headphones.
you
It is complete silence.
No. Nope, I put them on and I thought I went deaf. I was like, what happened? My ears, they were gone. I can't hear anything.
It also puts players in a situation where they need to be very intentional and very deliberate about all of their actions, which encourages a much more cleaner level of play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going back to life.
Yep.
So I still think where we have the judge call still happening. They're still trying to resolve. I think we were in the midst of talking, so I'm not sure what the particular call is.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the call is either.
Yeah, I think Zap just got up to see if he can find out.
Yeah. Zap's gonna go see if we can figure out what the call is. We'll see what it is. Oh, but yeah, if it is the radar rule, you can grab one of each. If you look at the top 7, but you can't grab one. I don't think if you use the bottom effect.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see what the call is. It can't off the top 7, but it can't on the bottom effect. So that's important to remember.
Say again, what it can't do with the top 7? What can't it do with the top 7?
The Dragon Raider says, look at the top 7, choose a Dragon, like 2 Dragon Ball or 2 Desire. You can choose 1 Dragon Ball, 1 Desire, but if you use the bottom effect, which says go in your drop area and either get 2 Desire or 2 Dragon Ball, you can't choose 1 Dragon Ball, 1 Desire.
That is exactly
if that's
what
the
happened.
question, right?
That
So
is
he
exactly what
he
happened.
used the bottom effect and tried to get 1 of each.
Correct.
Yeah, so you can't do that on the bottom effect, but you can on the top, just not on the bottom effect.
So they were able to identify what card was drawn with the Dragon Ball.
Right.
They rewinded the game state to adjust for that, and now we're back in it. That's fascinating. I mean, I have played over 60, 70 games in this format, and I did not even know that was the ruling.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. So I'll read the card. It says, look at up to the top 7 cards of your deck. Choose up to a total of 2 Dragon Ball or Desire cards and add them to your hand, then shuffle your deck. Now the bottom effect says choose up to a total of 2 Dragon Ball or Desire cards from your drop area.
That's why I'm making a face. I'm like, that's the exact same wording, so
exactly
why can't you? You know what I mean?
That is the ruling.
Interesting. Oh my God, we're taking life finally. I was staring at life for so long and nothing was happening, so I was just like, you know what? Just gonna quit.
Players, that is time of
I think
the
they're both
round.
at 6 now.
Extra time has passed. Please set down your cards and fill out the match.
That is not time for us, guys. That is the Gunslinger tournament.
Also, remember, I did not create the ruling.
Extra time is over.
So this is not-
Please fill out the match slip and get it turned
Hashtag
in.
blame Dusty on the Dragon Radar ruling.
Like, I'm pretty sure that's the ruling, right? You can do it on you can grab 2 different ones on top, but not bottom.
I
Or
don't
can you
know.
not?
I've played it where you can do either or for either or.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my experience.
Bandai is probably not far from us. We should go ask them.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to go clarify the ruling and then come back and let us know what
I think
the
we
ruling
should
is?
clarify it because
Yeah.
I don't see why you
Should
can't.
I
Just
talk
based
to-
on card wording alone,
Yeah.
it's identical.
Yeah, we can get that for you guys. It's no problem. That's why we have Zap here. He's being hashtag blame Dusty. Guys, please, I didn't do it. That's just, I don't.
The chat loves hashtags. I don't know if you know.
They do. The hashtags there.
Blame Marcus,
Can we-
blame Dusty.
Can we get
hashtag
hashtag
yams?
Can we get hashtag?
Right. Very important.
I did not bring my tea, but I wish I did.
Just getting back into the game here, we see that Willie has established a large board. Looks like he did go for that Gogeta to disrupt Bryan. And now doing a lot of big things. This Vegeta, I believe, does have triple attack. Yep, because he did take the 2 life. So Bryan going to be going down to what looks like 2. 2 or 3.
Well, Brian's at 1.
Now he's at 1. I don't know how that
Actually, is that
happened.
1 or is that 2 sideways?
I think it's 2.
Okay.
Because he it looked like he was at 5.
Okay. I believe you. You are the man, so I'm with you. Oh, here's the ruling.
So the table judge ruled
Okay.
that Dragon Radar can obtain 1 Dragon Ball and 1 Desire.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
I think that's fair.
That ruling was appealed to the head judge,
Oh.
and
Gotcha.
the head judge ruled that they must be 2 of the same
On
type.
both modes.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, so head judge says they have to be 2 of the same.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I mean,
Okay.
at this point, we can't argue. Head judge says what the head judge says. You got to do what he
Well,
says.
I mean, Casey knows what's going on, so it doesn't surprise me at all. And after reading the card, like chat pointed
Yeah,
out, it's-
actually, and Casey is a great judge
yeah, absolutely,
overall.
absolutely. So after reading the card, both modes should be treated the same. off the ruling, off the wording. So you can only choose 2 on top, 2 on bottom. It makes the card a lot more situational. I think it does. I think the bottom half is probably going to be used almost primarily for either 2 Dragon Balls draw or get 2 Desires back.
Right.
Where the top,
top 7 you can end up grabbing.
Well, top 7 is going to be a lot harder to use, right? Because you can either get 2 Dragon Ball if you whiff.
Yeah.
Then you only get 1.
Yeah, and that almost. Okay, much as I love everyone here, but I feel like that does hurt the card. It almost makes it not as good, and it almost makes you never want to do top 7.
Yes.
Because it increases the chance of whiffing in that sense.
I think the bottom half of the card is better than the top half anyway.
Right.
And I think this ruling makes it just the bottom half is even more superior than the top half.
Worth asking a Bandai rep while they're here, though, I think.
Okay, let's see what's going to go on here with the game.
So yeah, the Shenron matchups are going to go a lot longer because they have a board that they're trying to establish to do a very specific play, because it's very powerful. But what we're going to see here is there's a lot of life and then almost there's no life because you have these triple attack, critical, triple attack, triple strike, whatever the case, doing a lot of damage really fast, and it almost makes up for the slower pace of the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I think the difference between the Shenron leader and Dragon Radar, other guys, is that Shenron says you get 2 Dragon Balls, but the ore is where you get them from.
Right.
So you're still getting 2 Dragon Balls. You're just getting maybe 1 from life or 1 from deck. I think that's the difference between them. But again, I'm not a rules expert. If you know me at all, you know that's the case. So.
Yeah, guys. I mean, it's no reason to do any kind of witch hunt or just say anything about the rule at this point. We have to go by what the head judge says. If in the future they say that's wrong or the case, things change. But as of right now, at least we can consistently do that for the matches going forward. And if we find out anything else different, then we will let you know. But at least for the rest of this event, that will be the ruling we're going by.
It's not stopping Bryan from resolving additional copies of the card, though, is it?
Yeah, no, he's still just going off on him here.
Yeah.
Dragon Radar is a fantastic card. And actually, Richard was one that told me that it's honestly one of the best turn 1 plays you could do is just go, Dragon Ball, draw 2, Dragon Radar, get the Dragon Balls back, Dragon Ball. It's so powerful. It's like you just saw 4 different cards right there.
Right.
Correct. So I expect we're going to see Bryan use his ultimate wish this turn because he has 5 energy.
I think he has to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Looks like he's in a tough spot right here.
He may also be going for his free world peace and then playing Demigra, but that would be unfortunate because he doesn't get the opportunity to triple attack.
Well, Demigra is a 10 cost, right? And he doesn't get his effects unless he's Dark Overwhelm.
Right. Well, Demigra you can play for 5 energy. It's 5 energy, and then you overwhelm.
I see what you're saying. I was, yeah.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate. But if you had to remove the Dragon Balls, then if that could ensure victory, you do what you need to do.
Right.
One of the more awkward components of Shenron the Wish Granter is that card is all but pointless on the board right now.
Absolutely.
It's just a combo.
Yeah, just sitting there.
Yeah, it's just a combo card.
Every time I run this card, I always like to try to run the 5-drop Frieza with it, so I can try to bounce it back to my hand and use it again. It feels like a waste if it's just sitting there. You know what I mean? It does.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah. If you played it, that's actually an interesting thought. If you played it to get the draw 2, restand 4, and then world peace out the 5-drop Frieza, yeah, essentially you could bounce him back to hand, and that might make. I actually like that. That's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Even just hard casting a world peace to bring it back, untap your 4 energy, is making your world peace a draw 2.
Yeah. Actually, if you were to peace out for free, you could actually make your world peace a draw 2, untap 4, which is an extremely powerful way to extend your turn.
Yeah. There's a lot of really cool things where you can increase value of cards. I actually like the idea of somebody mentioned playing Rebirth of Justice to play Gogeta. It ends up being a bounce 3, draw 2 card. Because Rebirth in itself says when you play the 5-drop that's blue, it bounces a card. And then Gogeta comes out and bounces 2 cards. So it's like increasing that level of control.
So right now, if your point total is only going to reflect your number of wins, so don't worry if your point total's off because of your losses.
Bryan trying to find his out. Seems like it's going to start with Child's Wish. Looks like he may be playing it for free.
Yeah, he is. That's going to turn off his ultimate for this turn.
That says to me that he's pretty desperate. That he thought of an out and out. His deck has the ability to keep him in the game, but he needs to draw into it. Sunsu being on 6 energy, is there any 6-drop plays in the Shenron deck?
Not that I don't think so. He might just be trying to be able to play things and still have energy to do other things. And
well, what Bryan needs to figure out is a way to get the board back under control. Either kill Willie this turn or get the board back.
That crisis question needs to be sided out going into game 2.
Yeah. Some interesting tech here in the main deck of Samule. He's actually running 2 copies of Dark Duo Deborah.
Guys, remember, chat. It's not. We can't call slow playing. We can't walk from the caster desk and tell the judge these slow play. That's up to the judge staff. It's something that we cannot control.
And it's up to the responsibility of the players to point out if that is a concern.
Right. In every other game ever existing, it's the player's responsibility to say, "Judge, I think my opponent's slow playing," and then the judge comes over, watches, and takes care of it. In this situation, the judges are also looking for slow play. So it's just not up to us. We can't do anything about it. So I understand maybe your guys' frustration or you want us to go take care of it. That's great, but we can't. It's not our responsibility. We don't have the power to do so. So spamming slow play in chat does absolutely nothing for us. It doesn't help in any way.
And there it is, a Beyond Darkness Demigra.
So we're surrendering Bryan's ability to use an ultimate this turn.
Yes.
So Willie in a situation where he needs to get a desire to catch back up here. Because I think we're going to see...
I think that got rid of most of Willie's hand.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're going to have to see him go at that at all cost. Because at all cost, regenerating his hand is going to close this out in a big way.
Did he negate the Demigra swing?
Oh, he did. Willie played a copy of Power Burst.
Power Burst.
Yeah.
Coming in, Master
So,
Roshi coming in.
All this life that Willie has is definitely going to...
No, so I wasn't the judge though. The judge opinion was
So we have the head judge here, Casey. We're going to ask him a couple questions, just 2 here, real quick.
Yes.
That you guys have been wondering, because again, guys, remember we can't answer these kind of questions. It's not, It's not our responsibility. So the first was the Dragon Radar question. I'll let you handle that first.
Yes, there must have been some miscommunication between one of the judges and my assistant head judge. When we were asked to give the ruling, we were under the assumption it was asking about the bullet points, because you have to choose which location you're looking through, but at that point you can choose to get 1 Dragon Ball and 1 Desire, or 2 Desires, or 2 Dragon Balls. You can choose 1 and 1, you just have to pick which location you're getting them from. So there was some miscommunication between that point and us on asking the actual ruling of that card, so our apologies for that.
Right, so originally the question that was thought to be asked was, can you choose to get 1 out of your drop and then search the top 7 to get a desire?
Correct.
But you can't. You have to stay in the brackets, obviously, or stay in the
Right.
So the card was trying to working as we all thought, which is you can choose a 1 location, either the deck or the drop, and you can grab either 2 Dragon Balls, 2 Desires, or 1 of each. What the question that was seemingly asked was, can I grab 1 of those from a drop and 1 of the other from the deck?
Right.
That's what they were saying you couldn't do. So it was just a miscommunication.
Yeah,
Dragon
between my
Radar does work
assistant, so I
the way
wanted
we
to come
thought.
over here and clarify that for him. So.
Yeah, so and these things happen, guys. That's why, Dusty was telling you not to get too crazy in the chat, because we don't know exactly what word for word was asked, because we are here and that is over there, and all we can get is what we see on the screen.
Right.
So it's very important not to immediately just accuse of what happened, and that's why we wanted to clarify the situation.
Yeah, okay, one more question I have
Yes.
for Casey, because it's something that's been asked quite a bit, is can you define slow play a little bit for us? There's a difference between a
Yes.
player taking some time and thinking his turn, or a player
Yes.
aggressively slow playing. So I want you to kind of cover that for me.
The main issue for this game is there's no precedent in the floor rules or anything for slow playing. So the main issue when that comes is you have to start looking at it from the viewpoint, is that person thinking about what they're going to be doing for their play? Are they just like shuffling, shuffling? Like that's when I start seeing slow play, is if someone just keeps looking at their hand, not making a play, or if they're actually like, they're sort of pulling cards from their hand, sort of making decisions. Like you can tell they're like pulling stuff out, looking at it, they're adding up the math. But if they're just like casually like shuffling their hand constantly, they're not adding up stuff. They're just sort of glancing at their cards, trying to decide what to do. But our main issue when it comes to that is there's no like timer for the game. There's no deciding how many seconds you have between turns, actions, and stuff like that.
And
Sounds like intentionality is the key word here.
Yeah, and I
Exactly.
think the biggest thing, as someone who played Shenron all the way up into Nationals, I know I had those issues where I go, the problem I'm having and I'm taking so long is I'm like, how can I achieve what I want and use my third wish ability? And I think that's what he was struggling with.
Right.
And you saw how he eventually decided on Demagra as I can't get my third wish ability out, so now I have to do this. So it was a matter of he realizes being at 1 life and looking at 3 battle cards, he did have a very crucial decision to make. This is top 16. He has to make the
Yes.
right one.
Right, absolutely. I think you have to give the players time to make that decision. That's what determines skill. Right? If
Exactly.
you're rushing the player through the whole game, then it's not really skill. It's just who can think the fastest. It doesn't make too much sense.
Yeah,
Right.
it's the thing is intent, like you said, and like doing big plays like that are really hard to decide and like figure out.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest issue. And a lot of players don't realize that. It's example, National, we're in top 16 now.
Yeah.
People want to leave with those golden leaders. They're not slow playing intentionally to try to just like get the win. They're essentially slow playing to try to figure out how they're going to get the win.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
This is
Not-
the most high pressure game that they have ever played in Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Casey, for coming over and clarifying.
You're welcome.
what
And
was
thank you for all your
happening.
hard
else,
work.
let me know.
We all greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. So there you have it, guys. There's a clarification of what had happened with the ruling. Shouts out to everyone who wanted to be transparent with you guys. I think that's been a huge success for us at this event. We've been very transparent and very much keeping you informed. So now you know exactly what happened with Dragon Radar. And yes, the card doesn't work as we thought it did.
Yeah, and exactly, and that's what we're trying to say too. That's always that's our job as the stream, is to bring you the people at home to the judges and players
Right.
here. So we're always going to try our best, but at the end of the day, we don't make we don't make decisions. Yeah, it's like that's past our pay grades. What I like to say. We
Right.
just watch these games, tell you what we think, and then let the people like Casey and the judges who are just fantastic. Without them, we wouldn't have a game, guys.
Absolutely.
Like, you guys can watch this game without us here, but we cannot have a game without players like Casey sacrificing their weekend, sacrificing their time to come here and bring us just amazing content.
Pro Noob, the ruling was that Dragon Radar does work, as we had said. There was just a miscommunication with the question that was asked, and that's why it seemingly was a bad ruling. But no, it does work where you can grab 1 Dragon Ball or 1 Desire if you do choose, but you have to do it from the area you chose, and you can't grab it from both areas, such as what Shenron does. Shenron gets to look at life and deck, and I think that was the confusion. They thought Dragon Radar could sort of do the same thing, so they asked that question. And it was said no, and it was a whole bunch of craziness. But moving on, though, we're back we're in game 2, and can we find out who won? I want to assume Willie won
He
that.
did.
He did win. Okay, so it was Willie that took game 1.
So one of the more skill-intensive aspects, and the difference between a good player with a Shenron leader and a great player, is how they sequence their beginning turns.
Sure.
Your goal is to get as much value out of your leader as possible in the vast majority of your matchups. And what that means is ideally starting your turn 1 with 1 Dragon Ball in your hand, using your leader effect to go to 3, on the following turn to 5, and on the following turn to 7.
Yeah.
And what that allows you to do is, you draw 6 additional cards over those 3 turns. Now, if you start with a 2nd Dragon Ball or a 4th Dragon Ball, you don't get to net as much advantage because
Right.
you go 4 to 6, and then when you use your leader trigger, you only get 1.
Yeah, and to be clear, he can play Crisis Crusher for 1 in that situation. And Crisis Crusher is not based on your opponent's battle cards; it's based on your own. If you have none in your area, you can play Crisis Crusher for 1.
Yes.
So something that we saw back with like Willie's sequencing is if he had an odd number of Dragon Balls in his hand, he is going to use his trigger earlier in the game because he does not want to draw a Dragon Ball into a Dragon Ball, because that will essentially be a -1 over the course of the game. And when you watch players base their sequencing on organizing that, that's how you can tell that they're very comfortable and competent with their deck.
I'll do it. I know what you're talking about.
you are really looking for a play, we see Objection Charge. Objection being one of the more powerful cards in this deck. Unlike most decks in previous formats where after the turn you Objection, you don't get to get a lot of value out of it, right? But what we can do with Objection here is we Objection, we go to 4 energy, and even though that energy is tapped, we can still play a World Peace for free.
Yeah.
So not only Objection, increasing the quality of your later turns, but increasing the quality of your turn 3 as well.
So essentially what you're doing is you're adding in more energy, even for World Peace as well. It actually lets you get, maybe a drop up that you normally would get. So if you have 4 energy, you can get a 4 drop, but if you Objection, you can actually spend 2 energy to get a 5 drop now.
Precisely.
Yeah, he paid Crisis Crusher 1. Guys, I encourage you to reread the cards that are being played for sure. I would bring it up for you, but you can't really read that on here. But Crisis Crusher, that was 100% illegal play.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, Crisis Crusher looks at your field, not your opponent's field.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with your opponent. Your opponent can have 19 energy, 15 battle cards. If you have no battle cards in your area, Crisis Crusher is a 1-drop.
And I think that's a common misconception because people compare it to Bodyguard Legend.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah, that's actually just about to say the same thing. All right, so Willie gets game 1. What does Bryan have to do here to get game 2?
Well, we have the deck list here. What was in their side decks that we feel, and I'll do the side deck this time, so I'm not throwing it at you. So let's see. Willie, well, actually, let's look at Bryan, since he unfortunately did not win that first round. Ryan's side deck looks like this. He has an additional Kami Global Unifier, because I do believe he already runs one in the main. Yes, he runs one in the main. He has Dark Power Blade Mass Saiyan. That's a BT5. I'm going to actually pull that one up, because that one's not ringing a bell. And I'm very curious as to why. So, Dark Power Blade? Is that a thing? Is that real? Maybe not.
I have a feeling that you can take any combination of words.
Oh no, Dark Power Blast. I'm silly. That's the 1-drop. What am I talking? I thought it said Blade. And I was like, what is that card? Okay, yeah. So Dark Power Black Mass Saiyan is in the side as well, which I don't think does anything for this matchup, because once again, World Peace and Child's Wish are activate mains. They are not autos.
Right.
So it does not help in this matchup. 3 Saiyan Kaba.
So the logic here is that in a fast matchup, his win condition becomes Child Wish into Saiyan. Like if he's playing against Storm, he'll bring in Saiyan Kaba.
Yep.
He'll resurrect it with Child's Wish, give a triple attack.
Yeah.
And then go 25 double strike triple attack.
And what's interesting about that, I actually originally built a red Shenron deck that its whole purpose was to try and turn through you, because I was like, oh yeah, slower meta Bandai, let me see about this. But what's cool about giving Kaba triple attack is that, remember, he gets plus 10 every time he attacks. So it's essentially plus 10 to Kaba, then an additional 30 every time he has attacked for those 3 times. So you don't even have to combo. Your opponent is in turn 2 or 3. They don't have that many cards in hand, and they're just taking, a lot of hits very early on.
Yeah, actually, in set 1, we used to have turns where you would go Kaba, and then you'd use the 3-drop Evolve on top of them. It would restand them.
Raging Kaba,
and he keeps the 10K on that too, which was really funny.
Really strong.
So continuing off that strategy of how does Shenron beat Storm, because Storm is your worst matchup. He sides 2 copies of Hidden Power East Supreme Kai.
Yep.
And he sides 2 copies of Mirror Creator Absorb. And what he does is he transitions his deck to get very low to the ground. And he's trying to give something double strike.
I like that. I like the way you put that.
Right. And trying to take 2 or 3, have a lot of power, and be able to swing 6 times with a double strike.
And then he's also running minus Killy Zone and 3 Haru Haru, obviously for the droid matchup, because Haru Haru does work against green leaders. And then moving over to Willie side deck, we have 4 Haru Harus in the side for the same reasons, an additional Child's Wish, 3 Kami Global Unifiers, most likely not main decking Kami, 2 Dendes, new to the job.
Probably a card we saw come in.
Sure. 2 Mafubas, 1 Dangerous Journey Bulma, that's most likely for the Janemba matchup, and then 1 Digging Deep Vegeta, probably for kind of a similar reason of what you were just saying, but yeah, definitely an interesting side for sure. As far as what's going in for Bryan, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure which one of these could really help him in this situation.
So I will phrase it as Bryan said whenever we were getting him ready on stream.
Yeah.
You know his Shenron deck just hard counters mine, right?
How is that?
Bryan.
Oh, that's what
Bryan
he said
himself. Yeah, he is not very confident in this game too.
I see.
Oh.
He said he feels that Willie's Shenron's deck is a hard counter to his
Because
own.
once he resolves the 7 cost he revealed,
He has no way to recover.
Bryan has little way to recover.
Yeah.
What could he put in to recover?
So my suggestion was that chain attack Trunks plus Zeno,
Right.
being able to reset his hand.
Right.
That's the best idea I have.
Activate
or
main.
his own Gochita 7.
Sure.
and
Just
try to
counters
make a
like
mirror match.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure activate main is considered a keyword, guys. Oh my goodness.
I would imagine if counter is considered a keyword.
Yeah,
I'd say
I'm pretty
premise
sure
possibly.
activate main is a
I'm not sure, though.
keyword. Keywords are not only listed in red. Once again, I don't want to come off rude, but I encourage you guys to like go over a lot of these things again because it could help you. I'm not just saying this to be rude. It could help you when you're going against that person who might feel the same. But I'm gonna go back through the rules here.
One of the first things I do when I want to play a new game, a tabletop game, is I just read the rules.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds weird, but I try to learn them because you understand the card interactions so much better once you understand how a turn is supposed to be played or how a sequence is supposed to be.
And one of my biggest pet peeves with this game, as someone who still actively plays, is yes, there's a lot of misunderstanding about the rulings of this game and a lot of things that are done incorrectly, and it really isn't as difficult as people make it out to be. And if you just take that time to read the rule manual, only reason why I know is because, when level 1 judge came out, everyone was super excited, and I was
Right.
I need to study, and I learned a lot about the game. So I'm actually going to go back through here and look for the area that specifies what keywords are, just to clarify for the chat.
In the meantime, I want to point out how cool Preface of Recovery Goku is with the Shenron deck. Not only
Same reason why I ran Explorer Bulma, my yellow version. Go ahead, you can tell them. I was just saying.
Right, yeah. So what it does is allow you to play Child Wish for free.
Yep.
And untap 2 energy.
It's very powerful.
Almost making your Shenron leader like a Soul Striker.
Yes.
Ooh, I like that a lot. You know how I feel about Soul Striker.
Yeah.
He's my boy. I've played with him in a lot of events, and he's just been so much fun. It's the deck. It's always my go-to. You know what I mean? But in my opinion, he's one of the most powerful Goku leaders.
He is. And I'm curious to see what kind of Goku leaders come out in the next 2 sets. It seems to be a focus point coming up.
Okay, so there actually was a lot of clarifications. I'm gonna do this to try to bring some clarity to why this is weird. I want to ask the chat a question.
Okay.
Is Awaken a keyword skill?
Okay.
What do you guys think? And why? And why do you think it is or isn't?
Okay.
Let's see what the chat says. See, and what Drunk Joe Gaming is saying is why I wanted to address this, because he says all red keywords are all red. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of no's. Now, this was actually part of the rulings that were further clarified, not changed, but clarified in the ruling.
Absolutely.
I actually think I can pull this within the little mirror.
I think what a lot of players are doing right now is they're going to the FAQ and they're just typing in keywords and then only those words that they think are the only keywords in the game.
Let's move on to, if you look at ruling 10-2-1, just recently clarified, Awaken is an activate keyword skill that players can activate by fulfilling conditions and paying associated costs.
And why that is relevant...
And it's not red, as Drunk Joe Gaming was saying.
Why that's relevant is the 7 cost Universe 7 Frieza says the negate comes from non-keyword skills, correct?
Right. And I could be wrong that activate main is or isn't, but there are definitely things that people... And you know what's funny? It says field is an activate main keyword skill on extra cards. So why is that different with any other activate main? Because I'm seeing that right here on 10-3-1. Field is an activate main keyword skill. I guess they're saying field itself is the keyword, so that could be where that differs from something like Child's Wish. I'm trying to see if we can find clarification on that. And I think the reason why something like this says revenge is an auto, so people are gonna be like, oh, revenge is an auto. But it's also considered a keyword because it's red. But auto more clarifies its timing, I would feel like, rather than what it represents. It's not necessarily blue and auto, but it's just saying, hey, even though revenge is red and it's a keyword, it's auto timing in a sense. But revenge then says its timing changed. So it's like a lot of things that card games like to do, which is override certain things because of what takes priority and there's a lot of importance. But that alone right there, guys, all of you saying no to Awaken being not a keyword, that shows you right there that maybe it's best to maybe polish up on what you feel the rulings are.
Yeah, just study it up a little bit. Just look up the rules. It's never a bad thing to do, ever. Especially when new set comes out. That's usually when most of your clarifications come through.
Exactly. And they did do a lot of clarifications of what are considered keyword skills in this most recent, you can almost say patch notes to the game. You know, if this was a video game, this was essentially a patch.
So seeing Bryan brought in those mirrors from his side deck, I suspect he took out some of the lower cost black cards.
Right.
Did maybe he took out some of his Crisis Crushers. Maybe there weren't better cards in his 50
Sure.
to bring in that, but he still wanted to keep a high black count so he could still utilize his leader ability and play Beyond Darkness to Migra on the same turn.
Yeah, guys, I don't want to jump too much into the rulings and stuff like that. I just want to bring that up. Like I said, I could be wrong on whether or not Activate Main is considered a keyword or not, but there's definitely some discrepancies as to what is and what isn't. So I don't know, actually, if Dark Power Mass Sane works against Child's Wish and World Peace, and we'll just go with that. If it comes up in a ruling, then we'll find out.
Well, does Mass Saiyan say does it say battle cards active skills?
It says
When it comes to the field
non-keyword skill.
Just straight up non-keyword.
And my assumption that Activate Main, because in other cases it is considered keyword, I thought it wouldn't affect Child's Wish. But if what they're saying is true, that Activate Main isn't, then yeah, Dark Power Mass Sane is a viable option against Child's Wish and World Peace.
I've always played that did resolve like that.
Have you played it? Zach?
Yeah, I've played that if someone Child Wish or Black Mass Sane, and that's the reason most people are side decking it. I've talked to a few people that didn't even consider that interaction.
So what's the interaction that you're not considering?
People didn't consider that the one cost Black Mass Saiyan would counter Child's Wish in the sense that they have to discard 2 cards after it resolves.
Do you think it does discard 2 cards?
I know that people resolved that during the tournament yesterday without calling a judge.
So they resolved discarding 2?
Right. So
okay.
most
against Child's Wish?
I can't guarantee it, but most players are under the impression that is how
that's
how
fair.
Interaction happens.
I'm not afraid though to admit that I'm wrong. That is the difference between me and the next person. Like, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Hey, that's good. Once again, it's gonna help me out the next time I play.
Absolutely. Yeah. I like I said, I don't make any calls without talking to the judges because I don't have a clue.
Let's talk about this huge board that Willie's establishing right now. We're getting back to the game.
Yeah. Speaking of Bryan saying, you know what, I don't think I'm going to win. It's coming to fruition here. If I'm being honest, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards on his battlefield here. 2 of them that can attack.
He has both Shenrons on field. What a savage.
What a savage.
So what I'm curious to see here is if Willie tries to do anything to play around Kami, or if you're just going to go outright for the win this turn.
I didn't even see what card he's attacking with. It's hidden behind. That was a... This is a surprise attack Vegeta? Is that what he attacked with? Is that what this card right here is? I think so.
That is.
Sneak attack. Yeah, sneak attack Vegeta.
Sorry,
Yeah. Surprise.
Surprise attack. Alrighty.
Yeah, that's the one that says when he attacks, your opponent has to put a card from their hand to the top of their deck.
I wonder why Bryan chose to keep...
Which, that's really annoying. Oh my god, imagine giving that triple attack and put a card at the top of your deck and put a card at the top of your deck.
And keep it doing it.
And he has critical or something like with 4-drop Shenron.
Right.
And we did see Willie bring in this Dende. We did see that second card between the Wish Granter and the Revenant Recovery. Not a surprise.
Oh, Dende.
One of the more talked about and discussed card. Is this card great? Is it unplayable? Is it just good? People really trying to get a sense for it.
Sure.
So it looks like Willie is using his ultimate.
Oh, yeah.
Triple attack at all cost. I don't believe he has critical, but
4-drop Shenron is on board, so he might.
Willie has done so much this turn, it's hard to keep track with it all.
That's another good argument brought up in chat, too. I'm sorry I'm kind of dwelling on this, but this is actually an interesting question. If Active Main is a keyword skill...
Then you could hit it with Peel Off.
Can you hit it with Peel Off?
Yeah. But once again, I'm at this point, I've done long enough, but I'm going to go ask Casey in about 5 seconds.
I don't know. I really don't.
You know what, chat? We're at 844 viewers. We're almost at 1,000. We are hit another record.
We got to get to 1,000 at least for the finals,
and
guys.
if it means I have to have an argument with you guys so we can all get better at the game, because that's what this is all about, then I will.
Yeah. I want to blow Bandai's socks off. I want them to go back to Japan with no socks.
Right.
They're going to land. Everyone's going to be, where's your socks at? In Columbus, Ohio, where they got blown off because we had 1,000 viewers.
Having a bit of a discrepancy here where I think Bryan might have started to pick up his life, not realizing that if that add-on cost has critical or not.
Ooh.
Trying to figure out how this whole combo interacts.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Your match limit is just completely blank up here.
And Bryan concedes.
There it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Willie
concedes.
Newsome, top 8. arguably one of the 8 best players in this room today.
In this room, awesome. As Shinron gets the top 8, which was inevitable in this matchup, as it turns out, but still super cool to see. I love seeing the new leaders make it. And these decks are far from optimized too. These decks will change week to week to week. This format is amazing, Zap. I know it's something me and you talked a lot about. It's just so much fun. I love that we're back to a format where we can take cards, we can just experiment again. You know what I mean? And it's so much fun. And we see even all these Shinron decks, they're all so different, you know?
They are.
And different in a good way, not different in like the SS3 way where it's like, you know, my leader's just so awesome. It's like they actually take advantage of the leader in very unique, different ways.
They do very different things. They try to win the game on different turns.